Remember when Mikey Williams felt like the future of basketball? When every time you opened Instagram or TikTok, there he was, flying through the air like he had a personal beef with gravity? Back then, his highlights weren't just viral, they were everywhere. Windmill dunks in packed gyms, deep pull-up threes like he was auditioning for Steph Curry's job, and celebrations that made every game feel like an and one mixtape from 2005. For a while, Mikey wasn't just a high school player, he was the high school player. The chosen one. The kid who was supposed to take that internet clout and turn it into NBA greatness. He had millions of followers before he even had a driver's license. And let's be honest, he didn't just have fans, he had believers. People genuinely thought this dude was next up. And hey, it made sense. At 6 feet 2 inches with a strong frame, freaky bounce, and a first step faster than your Wi-Fi on a good day, Mikey looked like the real deal. He could shoot, he could slash, and he could dunk on you, your cousin, and probably your family dog if you gave him a lane. For a while, it felt like he was on a one-way ticket to the NBA. But here's the thing about hype. It's like soda. Fizzy and exciting at first, until it goes flat. And that's exactly what happened. Because while the mixtape stayed fire, Mikey didn't. The same player who was breaking ankles at 15 was basically pressing pause on his own growth. Other guards kept getting sharper and smarter. Meanwhile, Mikey was still trying to live off his freshman year highlights. He had everything a young star could want. Fame, money, sponsorships, a following bigger than some NBA players. But when it was time to actually take that next step, he tripped over the line. This is the story of the basketball prodigy who had all the tools, all the talent, and all the talk, but refused to get better. So let's take it back to where it all began. Mikey Williams was born on June 26, 2004, in San Diego, California. And from the start, it was like basketball was wired into his DNA. His dad, Marlon Williams, played the game, and his mom, Charisse, was an athlete too. So yeah, this kid didn't just pick up a basketball, he was practically born with one in his crib. Mikey first caught national attention as a teammate of Bronny James on the well-known youth AAU team, the North Coast Blue Chips. Coached by LeBron James himself, the squad included Bronny, Jazir Jackson, who was already bigger than LeBron at just 14, and of course, Mikey Williams. The Blue Chips quickly became the most talked about team in youth basketball. While most fans showed up to watch Bronny and Big Jazir, it was Mikey who often stole the spotlight. By the time other kids were still learning how to dribble without tripping over their shoelaces, Mikey was already out there dunking on middle schoolers like it was a form of community service. Then came the mixtapes. Ballerz Life, Overtime, House of Highlights. Everybody had a piece of the Mikey Williams show. Every video was a movie. Windmill dunks, deep pull-up threes, yeah, celebrations so smooth it felt like he had a choreographer on the bench. It didn't take long before everyone, from NBA stars to YouTubers, knew his name. Mikey wasn't just a player anymore. He was content. Every game felt like a movie premiere. Every dunk a viral moment. Coaches wanted him, brands chased him, and fans couldn't get enough. He went to San Isidro High School, and in his freshman season, he dropped 77 points in one game. 77! Most players don't even touch the ball that many times. At that point, people stopped wondering if Mikey would make it to the NBA and started wondering if the NBA was ready for him. But what really made Mikey special wasn't just his athleticism, it was his confidence. Mikey walked into every gym like he owned the building, the court, and probably your girlfriend too. He had the bounce, the shot, and the ego to match. Every move he made screamed, "I'm him!" And honestly, for a while he was. By 16, he was the most famous high school athlete in the country. Every dunk, every tweet, every haircut became part of his image. He had millions of followers watching his every move like it was a Netflix series. If Mikey blinked too hard, it was trending by lunchtime. The kid had endorsement deals, brand partnerships, and media attention that most pros don't see in their entire careers. He signed with Puma while still in high school. Some NBA players grind for years just to get a free pair of shoes, and Mikey was out here getting paid to wear them in gym class. But here's the thing. When fame finds you that early, it's easy to mistake attention for achievement. And while the world was calling him the next big thing, Mikey was just enjoying being the current big thing. While other players were in the gym perfecting their craft, Mikey was perfecting his Instagram angles. And look, to be fair, at that age, who wouldn't? When everyone's calling you the next big thing, it's easy to believe the hype. It's hard to worry about footwork drills when you're busy signing shoe deals and shooting commercials, and that's where things started to shift. The more the fame grew, the less urgency there seemed to be on actually improving. When you've got millions of people hyping you up, it's easy to believe you've already made it, even when you haven't. Eventually, something strange started to happen. Mikey Williams stopped getting better. The same kid who was supposed to take over basketball suddenly looked like he'd hit pause on his own development. Meanwhile, his peers, guys like Bronny James, DJ Wagner, and Isaiah Collier, were in the gym refining their skills, tightening their games, and adapting to higher levels of competition. But Mikey, he was out here trying to trademark his nickname. The thing about being a high school superstar is that the competition always catches up. You can only dunk on 5'10" sophomores for so long before reality knocks. And when it did, Mikey didn't look ready. After lighting up the court as a freshman at San Isidro, Mikey Williams decided it was time for a bigger stage. So he packed his bags and headed to Lake Norman Christian in North Carolina. On paper, it looked like a genius move. Tougher competition, national attention, and more cameras to capture every dunk and flex. And at first it worked. Mikey was still putting up numbers, still making highlight reels, and still looked like the future of basketball, at least on Instagram. But once the scouts started looking a little closer, not just the fanboys on TikTok, the cracks began to show. Sure, Mikey could score, but how efficient was he really? Could he run an offense that didn't involve him taking every shot? Could he guard anyone for more than 5 seconds without losing interest? Those were tougher questions to answer. Then came another strategic move, this time to Vertical Academy, a program basically built to make Mikey look good. It was the perfect setup if you wanted to dominate YouTube, not necessarily a college roster, but the competition was inconsistent. Some nights he dropped 40 points and looked unstoppable. Other nights, against real national talent, he disappeared faster than his defensive effort. And that's when the whispers started. Was Mikey Williams still a rising star or just a walking mixtape? Every showdown against top recruits, Bronny James, Dior Johnson, DJ Wagner, became must-see TV. The gyms were packed, the cameras were rolling, and Mikey always gave the crowd something to post. A monster dunk here, a clutch 3 there, followed by a couple of questionable pull-ups and a few "what was that" moments on defense. It was like watching a highlight reel in real time, minus the highlights for half the game. For the first time, people started wondering if Mikey was built for basketball greatness or just for the internet. Still, the hype train kept chugging along. In late 2022, he committed to the University of Memphis, and fans thought, finally, here comes the redemption arc. Under Penny Hardaway, a former NBA All-Star, Mikey had the perfect mentor. The announcement broke the internet. The idea of Mikey running Memphis's backcourt felt like destiny. But then, life decided to throw a plot twist even Hollywood couldn't script. In April 2023, Mikey Williams was arrested on 5 felony charges after a shooting outside his California home. Suddenly, the kid who once looked destined for NBA stardom was trending for all the wrong reasons. The details were jaw-dropping. A car full of 6 people, including 3 minors, was reportedly leaving Mikey Williams' property after an argument when he allegedly decided to play Call of Duty, Real Life Edition, and fired several shots at the vehicle. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but police later found bullet holes in the car. And just like that, Mikey's highlight reel turned into a court transcript. In an instant, everything changed. This wasn't about basketball anymore. It wasn't even about missed dunks or wasted potential. It was about whether Mikey's career or freedom would survive. The University of Memphis, which once rolled out the red carpet for him, suddenly turned into that friend who stops answering your calls once drama starts. They quickly announced he wouldn't be joining the team until his legal situation was settled, which is polite PR speak for "we're not touching that mess." Then came the silence. His name disappeared from highlight reels faster than his defenders used to. Sponsors ghosted him like an ex after a bad date. Even Puma, the brand that once made him their poster boy for the future, quietly hit unfollow. The hype train that once ran full speed on Instagram suddenly ran out of gas. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, prosecutors dropped the hammer. 9 felony charges. We're talking assault with a deadly weapon, firing into an occupied vehicle, and making criminal threats. Basically the kind of stat line no athlete wants. Witnesses claimed he was waving a gun, but no one could confirm they saw him pull the trigger. The evidence was messy, but Mikey's reputation? Cooked. Months passed, the trial dragged on, and while other prospects were grinding in the gym, Mikey was grinding through legal documents. Finally, in late 2023, he took a plea deal, guilty to one felony count of making a criminal threat. The rest were dropped, but he didn't walk away clean. He had to do anger management, gun safety classes, counseling, and community service. He avoided jail time, sure, but he also lost something priceless: momentum. While his peers were improving their draft stock, Mikey was improving his communication skills with his lawyer. That lost year created a massive gap between Mikey Williams, the internet superstar, and Mikey Williams, the actual basketball player. When Mikey re-enrolled at Memphis in early 2024, Coach Penny Hardaway didn't sugarcoat it. The kid wasn't ready. Not because he'd suddenly forgotten how to dribble, but because mentally and physically he just wasn't there yet. The body was willing, but the focus? Somewhere between TikTok and trouble. Eventually, Mikey entered the transfer portal without logging a single minute of college basketball for Memphis. The same guy who once had scouts drooling was now searching for a restart like your Wi-Fi after a storm. But the basketball world had already moved on. There were new kids going viral every week, and Mikey was yesterday's algorithm. That's when reality set in. Mikey Williams went from the face of basketball's future to the warning label on it. From the kid who was supposed to dominate the NBA to the guy coaches mention when telling players, "Don't let this happen to you." The followers, the mixtapes, the Puma deal, all that glitter started feeling like a 20-pound chain. He finally suited up for the University of Central Florida in the 2024-25 season. And at first, fans hoped it would be the comeback tour. But instead, it felt more like the blooper reel. Mikey appeared in 18 games, started only 5, and averaged 5.1 points in 14 minutes per game. That's not terrible. If you're a bench player in a rec league, there were also flashes of the old Mikey, a couple of 14-point games, some decent rebounding nights, but consistency was nowhere to be found. Shooting 37% from the field and 28% from deep, man was out there building entire neighborhoods one missed 3 at a time. You could practically hear the rim begging for mercy. And just when he started finding a little rhythm, boom, injuries hit again. By the end of the season, Mikey didn't look like a future NBA star. He looked like a guy trying to remember how to be one. So he packed his bags once more, this time for Sacramento State for the 2025-26 season. And honestly, that might be the best thing for him. A smaller program, fewer cameras, and coaches who might actually coach instead of manage hype. With Mike, Bibby, and Shaq involved behind the scenes, maybe this time Mikey can slow down, find his footing, and focus on basketball. This could be the place where he quietly rebuilds himself, working on efficiency, defense, and leadership. But this is also the last real crossroads. If he can't make it work here, if he can't prove he's more than a mixtape legend, the NBA dream might officially fade. This is the part of his story where potential must finally meet production, and where flashy dunks need to start translating into actual wins. Because unlike someone like Julian Newman, Mikey wasn't undersized or outmatched. Physically, he had everything. The frame, the hops, the handle. What he lacked was refinement. The polish never arrived, and when the spotlight dimmed, there wasn't enough substance to keep him in the conversation. There comes a moment in every prodigy's life when the lights dim, the crowd stops cheering, and reality taps them on the shoulder like, "Hey bro, remember me?" For Mikey Williams, that moment hit harder than one of his missed deep threes. Because here's the thing, hype has an expiration date. You can only ride mixtape fame for so long before people start asking, "Okay, but what have you done lately?" And for Mikey, lately was a whole lot of nothing. The highlights dried up, the scouts stopped calling, and the NBA dream that once seemed guaranteed started looking like wishful thinking. At one point, he was the future of basketball. Now he's the cautionary tale your coach brings up when you start flexing after hitting one step-back jumper in practice. He had the bounce, the brand, and the bravado, but no growth, no discipline, no grind. It's like he was training to be famous instead of training to be great. And fame is a terrible trainer. It hypes you up, lies to you, and then dips when the next viral kid shows up. The sad part? Mikey still could have turned it around. The talent never disappeared, and it just got buried under distractions, ego, and bad choices. But by the time he realized that potential doesn't pay rent, the hype machine had already moved on to the next 15-year-old dunking on middle schoolers. That's what makes Mikey's story so frustrating and oddly sad. There's a timeline out there, probably in some basketball multiverse, where Mikey Williams became exactly what everyone expected. An NBA ready guard dropping 30 a night, doing Gatorade commercials and arguing with Skip Bayless on TV. But sadly, that version didn't download in this reality. Instead, Mikey's now grinding for one last shot. Not in front of ESPN cameras, but in a quiet Sacramento gym where even the janitor probably gets more screen time. If he's ever going to flip the script, this is it. The grow up or glow down moment. And that brings us to the million-dollar question. Was Mikey Williams ever actually that good? Or did we all just get catfished by the highlight reels? The truth's somewhere in the middle, but Mikey was that dude. He made high school basketball feel like an NBA All-Star weekend. But hype doesn't equal growth. While Mikey's followers were going up, his game was stuck in airplane mode. He could still throw down monster dunks and hit those step backs that make defenders question their life choices, but the fundamentals, the decision-making, the defense, the maturity, never leveled up. Then life threw him a curveball off the court, costing him valuable time when he needed to be developing, not defending himself. By the time he came back, the game had evolved. And Mikey hadn't. The gap between who he was and who he thought he'd be could fit an entire basketball court. It's the classic story of raw talent meeting real-world consequences. Because Mikey had the talent to make it, but talent alone doesn't guarantee survival. Basketball evolves, and if you don't evolve with it, it leaves you behind. Mikey Williams will always be remembered as a pioneer. The first American high school player with a global shoe deal. The kid who turned prep hoops into a rock concert. He proved that social media could build stars before the NBA ever touched them. But whether he'll be remembered as the one who made it or the one who almost did, that's still up to him. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one.